Hey, what's up? It's Phoenix, and today I have a heavy topic that I wanted to talk about on my YouTube channel. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Today's theme is on strife. Now, I'll admit, the past couple weeks have been challenging. There have been a lot of good things that have happened, but for instance, I've struggled a little bit at my work at the treatment center for those struggling with addiction because clients don't always know how to be, and so sometimes they can lash out and take their anger out on staff. And so navigating that and having good boundaries can be very difficult. And the whole reason why I'm making this video today is because I want to talk about the difficulty of life and the difficulty that comes from conflict and strife and people that lash out and people that are angry. So I had a couple things happen over the past couple weeks aside from job stuff. You know, I wanted to describe this as kind of this being my side of the story and kind of what I was experiencing. But basically, 3 weeks back, I had someone out of the blue who was trying to manipulate me and was basically like forcing me to talk to them when I didn't trust them because it sounded like they were literally trying to sell me drugs, which is what people have done. So I was trying to keep my distance and keep the boundary. But then because I wouldn't pay attention, he hit me first in the side, then in the back, and I continued to move away and he hit me again. And I'll admit, this is shocking. I know that the world can be a dangerous place. I know that people do cross boundaries and they don't respect other people and they lash out and they do angry, hurtful, horrible things. But I was surprised because this is pretty close to where I live. It was literally like 3 to 5 minutes away. Like, this is in my neighborhood. These are places that I frequent, such as restaurants and shops. They're places that I go to. And to have somebody do this is horrible. And here's where I struggle. I know that the world is a dangerous place because I myself have been hurt in a lot of various ways, in a lot of various encounters, often getting the brunt of things. And so I've definitely struggled, and we know that things are bad. But I try to avoid stereotypical ideas about the world, which would often include things such as extreme violence or just violence in general, thinking that the world is becoming more and more unsafe, that there's more and more risk involved, even if you're just walking 3 minutes away from your apartment. And so I will admit, I am shocked that that happened. But then to make matters worse, literally yesterday, I had this individual. He was talking to himself, so I'm assuming that he was struggling from some kind of psychosis. But he was talking to himself, and so I was kind of just keeping my distance and trying to just get to the entrance of the restaurant that I was going to, but he was talking to himself and getting louder and louder, and then suddenly he started raising his voice at me, and then very quickly he spit at me. And he was on his bike, and he literally spit on me. He spit in my face. And so I was like, why is this happening? And I was trying to like de-escalate the situation and be calm, but he didn't have a coherent answer for what he was doing. He was literally riding away on his bike as he was yelling at me and not listening to me. And I was trying to be calm. I was trying to express myself in a healthy way, and he wouldn't take responsibility for what he just did, for threatening me and for spitting on me. Spitting on people is literally assault, as far as I understand, much less getting hit by people, which literally happened the couple weeks ago, like I mentioned. And so I have to admit, I am struggling with this. This is what I think about when I think of strife and struggle and conflict and pain and people lashing out at people. And I'll admit, I don't always know what to do with it. I'm so caught off guard by these two events happening that I am seriously reconsidering a lot of aspects of my life about how safe it is where I'm at. I wouldn't have thought that it would have been that unsafe, because even just like a year or two ago, it seemed to be pretty successful of an area. But I guess people are getting displaced and people are experiencing things that, such as poverty and homelessness and mental illness and drug addiction, substance use. And so this is definitely becoming an issue, and I'm heartbroken to see this. The irony is that I try to help people who are struggling with mental health stuff and substance abuse. That's literally what I do at my job. For instance, I volunteered countless times at shelters and with organizations that are nonprofit. And so if anything, I literally am trying to help the world. And so when this happens, it's really hard for me not to take it personally and like thinking that what I'm doing, if wondering if it's even helpful, and it's very hurtful. And so yeah, like I know I'm probably, venting and ranting a little bit, but I just wanted to capture my strong shock of emotion at experiencing some of these things. And it makes me really sad because it makes me feel like the work that I'm doing is meaningless, that people can't change, that people can't get the type of treatment that they need for their mental health stuff. And so I'm struggling. It's very hurtful. And so as I said, this is my side of the story. I know that when people interact with you about various things that we may experience, they'll offer their own perspective, and that might sometimes include judging you or judging your behavior. I have already been judged enough in my life, so I'm hoping that I can communicate this in a way that doesn't require people's judgment of my actions, but I'm literally just trying to do good things for the world. I'm literally trying to help the world. And so I know that these events, even if they're not isolated, they're a little bit random, and so I know that like I'm not being targeted per se, but I think what was really shocking about the person that spit on me is I knew that they were going through something, but I wasn't aware that they were talking to me, because it looked like they were talking to themselves, and so them to suddenly direct it at me and spit on me, and me realizing that they did have an issue with me for whatever reason, of course random reasons, but still a reason nonetheless. Yeah, I'm just like, what do you do with that? And so it is very hurtful that I have had to experience these things. And so this is what I would say. Obviously, experiencing this is not fair. It is not right. It is not okay for people to lash out at people, even if they're hurting, even if they are struggling with mental illness and substance abuse or whatever it is, even if they're displaced. Like, I have compassion for people like that, and I want to help people like that. But obviously doing that is not okay, because it's literally assault, twice in 3 weeks. And so I'm trying to look at it from the perspective of what can I do? How can I respond? How can I choose to respond? What am I in control of? What can I help to change? What can I continue to help bring awareness to through my writing, my videos, perhaps even my music? What can I do to continue to make the world better? And so a lot of it is realizing that I have to find that inner resolve for myself of what I'm going to do and how I'm going to change and what I'm going to do differently. And obviously I'm not just going to roll over and take all of these things. In both of these situations I did try to confront them, especially in the second episode. But I am still limited in what I can do, but I want to respond in a deliberate way. And the reason why this is important is because that's what we need to do in these kinds of situations. With the toughness of life, with strife, we need to be able to confront it and confront reality. And so I'm not going to run away from what happened. I'm not going to pretend that it didn't happen and bury it away. Like, I need to acknowledge that it happened, and that people do these things, and that people get hurt, and that people suffer. And so I guess what's hard is that I try to be deliberate in all of my actions by being compassionate. And so it's really hurtful to have these things happening, because it makes me feel like everything that I'm trying to do to help the world continually doesn't do anything. That people continue to do these things, and they continue to do horrible things. And it sucks. And I know that horrible things happen all of the time to people. I know that we don't live in a safe world, quote unquote, but I'm just trying to convey my perspective and my side of the story, and that I really have had to dig deep and try to figure out what I'm going to do. And so strife is a real thing. There's conflict and there's pain and there's bitter disagreements that people may have. I don't know what either individual was going through and why they would lash out at me so randomly, but I may never know. And so what I've realized is that I have to continue to just try to process things and respond, to do my best to stand up for myself and to protect myself, which is even more important, because as I said, I don't want to just allow these things to just keep happening. But I also recognize the parts that are out of my control, and sometimes I have to admit I feel like everything that I'm doing in life to try to better the world and better myself, to make deliberate, conscious choices, doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the world, and that's a really sobering place to be. So again, I'm just focusing on my resolve and trying to just be aware of what's going on around me, aware of my surroundings, but it is very hurtful. And so that's what I wanted to communicate. I hope that you'll check out my other videos. I'm Phoenix, and I definitely make a ton of videos. I've been enjoying doing that. I took a little bit of a break because I was working so hard on everything that I was doing that I needed some time. I hope to make a few more videos though over the next couple weeks, and so keep a lookout and definitely check out the content on my channel, and such as the playlists, for instance, or even just the videos on my feed. So yeah, I'm Phoenix, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.